Lesson 2. Introduction to the Stock Market. Part 2. Picking your own stocks. Finally, let's get to the fun stuff. The advantages of picking your own stocks. Let's go over them. Firstly, selecting individual stocks can offer the potential for significantly higher returns, often referred to as the home run scenario. This possibility arises because you are focusing your investments on a select few stocks rather than spreading them out. This approach is essentially a trade-off between concentration and diversification. While investing in a fund typically provides a diversified portfolio that includes many stocks, picking your own stocks allows you to concentrate your investment on a smaller number of choices. Although this can be riskier, it also creates the opportunity for outsized returns if those few stocks perform exceptionally well. Imagine if you put all your money in Apple in 1997. If you had invested $10,000 in Apple, today it would be worth $5 million. That's what I mean by a home run. The second major benefit of managing your own investments is the ability to customize your portfolio. When you choose individual stocks, you gain full control over which companies you invest in. This allows you to tailor your portfolio to specific industries or market trends that interest you. For example, if you are passionate about the gaming industry, you can construct a portfolio comprised solely of video game companies. A third advantage of this approach is cost savings. By managing your investments yourself, you avoid paying management fees to investment professionals. This can result in significant savings over time. When it comes to picking your own stocks, there are three main challenges, including the time commitment required and the expertise needed, the risk that comes from a lack of diversification, and finally, the risk of underperforming the broader stock market. It's a lot to digest. We'll go through it. Let's consider the time commitment and expertise required to successfully manage your own stock investments. If you believe you can purchase a stock and simply hold on to it for 20 to 30 years without monitoring it regularly, it's time to rethink that strategy. No company remains at the top indefinitely. Remember the saying, old kings die and new kings emerge. Eventually, old kings make way for new rulers. This idea is illustrated by the image of an old castle, symbolizing that nothing lasts forever. Very few companies manage to outperform the market over long stretches. Even the most successful companies can eventually decline, fading from prominence. Consequently, if you choose to manage your own investments, you must stay well informed about the companies you invest in, which demands a significant amount of time and attention. On the other hand, investing in something like an index fund offers a distinct advantage because it naturally updates itself over time. As newer companies grow in importance, they gain greater representation in the index, ensuring the fund stays current without requiring close monitoring. An index fund mirrors a specific market index, such as the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones Industrial Average. This aspect of index funds, their ability to self-refresh, is crucial. Let me elaborate. Consider the exhibit displayed on this slide. Notice how the composition of the index changes over time? It's fascinating to observe how different companies rise to prominence and become the largest constituents of the index, decade after decade. This dynamic adjustment is a key strength of index funds, helping to maintain a diversified and contemporary portfolio automatically. Who are the biggest companies in the stock market in the 1970s? There seemed to be a lot of energy in industrial companies. Today, who are the biggest? Many of the leading companies today are primarily in the technology sector. The S&P 500 index dynamically evolves to better mirror the prevailing economic trends of the economy. This adaptation occurs because the index adjusts the weight of companies based on their performance. Companies that perform well see an increase in their index weight, while those performing poorly see a decrease. For example, in the 1970s, the energy sector dominated the economy. In contrast, today's economy is heavily influenced by technology companies. If you had invested in the S&P 500 during the 1970s and maintained that investment without making any changes, your portfolio would have naturally shifted over the years to include a higher proportion of technology stocks, thus reflecting the changing dominant sectors of the economy. Let's now focus on the risk of lack of diversification. When you invest in a single company, you're very exposed to events that affect that company. This is called company-specific risk. Things like poor management decisions, worsening industry conditions, product problems, or supply disruptions are examples of this type of risk. Investors can reduce their exposure to company-specific risk by diversifying their portfolios across different companies and industries. To better understand the dangers of company-specific risk, let's talk about the 2015 E. coli scare at Chipotle Mexican Grill. During 2015, a large number of customers became sick after eating at the company's restaurants. The cause turned out to be an E. coli outbreak that led to numerous cases of foodborne illness across multiple states. As you can imagine, making your customers sick is bad for a restaurant's business, and very bad for its stock price. In the 2 years following the news of the E. coli scare, Chipotle's stock price plummeted 60%. That means if you had invested $100 in Chipotle at the beginning of 2015, 2 years later it was worth only $40. Had you instead invested in a diversified fund, like an S&P index fund, your investment would have increased by 30% over the same period. It would be worth $130 instead of $40 in Chipotle. The dangers of company-specific risk are much greater than you might imagine. The hard truth is that you need to make more back percentage-wise when you lose money to get back to break-even. I'll explain this further. Let's say that you invested $1 million in a single stock, and that stock declined by 50%. Your investment would then only be worth $500,000. To get back to break-even, the stock would need to double, which is an increase of 100%. When you lose money, you have to make more back in terms of percentage gains than you lost to get back to break-even. The likelihood of losing a large amount of money invested in a diversified fund is much less than with owning a single stock. The fourth challenge of investing your own money is that outperforming the broader stock market is very difficult to do. Historically speaking, often only a minority of stocks outperform the overall stock market. Furthermore, the companies that outperform the stock market in one period often don't outperform it in future periods. So, trying to pick stocks that consistently outperform the stock market is like trying to find a needle in a haystack.